today I'm going to be showing you 5 different one-pot meals. I love making my family one-pot meals because all you have to do is seriously throw everything into one pot, cook it up, and then your dinner is ready. So I hope you enjoyed this video and let's go get to cooking. We're starting today out by making this rich, sausagey pasta. So to my pot, I'm adding a little over a half a pound of ground sausage. You could use a full pound of sausage if that's what your family wants, but I just had that much left, so I just used what I had on hand. Anyways, after I cooked my sausage up, I'm going to remove any excess grease. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know this is how I always remove any grease left over. I just wiggle my wooden spoon around with a paper towel over it until it collects all of the grease, just like this. So now into the same pot that we cooked the sausage in, I added 1 orange bell pepper that I diced. I'm going to cook this all together for about 3 minutes or until the bell pepper starts to get soft. Now that my bell pepper is cooked and my house is smelling so good, I'm going to add in about 2 cups of this penne pasta along with 24 ounces of marinara sauce. You could use any type of marinara sauce you like or have on hand. And then you'll also add in 24 ounces of water. I just filled the jar of marinara sauce with water and added it in. Anyways, I'm going to stir this all together, and then you are going to add in some seasonings. So the seasonings that I chose to use was just a little dash of pepper and salt, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder and chili flakes, and then you are going to stir this all together to combine, and then you're going to bring this up to a boil and then drop it down to a simmer and let it simmer covered for about 12 minutes. You do want to stir it very frequently while it's simmering just to ensure that the noodles don't stick to the bottom of the pot and they don't stick together. After my noodles were to the tenderness that I like them to be, I added in my half a cup of mozzarella cheese. I gave this one last good stir to melt the cheese down, and then it was ready to serve. I served mine alongside of a side salad, and I just used this Olive Garden ranch to pour on top. I've been really liking that ranch recently, but anyways, this is so good. My daughter's not the biggest bell pepper fan in the world, but she actually devoured this one. She couldn't even tell the bell peppers were actually in it. Now we're making this really simple smoked sausage and orzo dish. So I have my 12 ounces of Italian style smoked chicken sausage right here. I'm just going to slice it into rounds like this. Over to my Dutch oven, I have about 2 tablespoons of hot olive oil in there. I added the sausage and I'm going to cook it on each side for about 2 minutes or until it forms this nice golden color. Now I just added a tablespoon of minced garlic along with 1 cup of orzo, half a teaspoon of chili flakes, and I'm going to stir this all together and let it cook for about 2 minutes. Add in your 2 cups of chicken broth at this point, along with a little dash of salt and pepper. Give this a really good stir, and then also while you're stirring it, make sure you scrape all of the bits off of the bottom of the pan. That's going to give this so much great flavor. Then you're going to bring this up to a boil and then drop it down to a simmer and let this simmer covered for about 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure you do stir it frequently just so the orzo doesn't stick to the bottom of your pan. So here it is, my orzo's cooked now. I just added in 3/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. I'm going to stir this together, let the cheese melt down, and then it is ready to serve. That chicken sausage gave this dish so much great flavor. I really need to cook with that chicken sausage more often. Also, the uniqueness of this dish was wonderful. My entire family enjoyed it. Now we're making this cheesy ham, broccoli, and rice dish. So I'm just going to cube my ham steak right here into smaller pieces. It's a little over a half a pound, I'd say. Over to my hot pan, I have about a tablespoon of olive oil in there. I'm adding the cubed ham and I'm going to cook it on each side for about 2 minutes or until it is golden brown, just like this. And now I'm going to remove it to a separate plate and set it to the side. In the same pan that I just cooked the ham in, I'm adding 1 cup of rinsed white rice, and I'm going to stir it around and scrape the bits off the bottom of the pan for about a minute or so. After that, you will add in your chicken broth, just 2.5 cups of that. Bring it up to a boil, drop it down to a simmer, and let this simmer on your stove for about 6 minutes, I'd say. After those 6 minutes of cooking, I fluffed up the rice and then added in my 12 ounces of frozen broccoli florets. I'm going to let this continue to simmer on my stove for about 5 more minutes. Here we are 5 minutes later. I'm adding in 1 cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese along with the ham that we cooked up earlier. Stir this all to combine, let the cheese melt down, and let the ham heat through. Here's my plate of food. I sprinkled mine with a little bit more salt and pepper on top. This is definitely comfort food for me and my family. I could make this one all year round. It's just a good classic meal. Now we're getting started on this creamy pesto and chicken pasta. So in my pan, I added a tablespoon of olive oil. Once it was hot, I'm just adding about 1 cubed chicken breast. You could always add more chicken or less chicken, depending on your needs. So now that my chicken is cooked, I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm going to stir this around for about a minute or so until it is fragrant. So now that my garlic is fragrant, I'm going to add in about 1/2 pound of penne pasta, along with 1.5 cups of chicken broth, and then you are going to scrape all of the bits off of the bottom of the pan. I let this simmer on my stove covered for about 12 minutes or until my noodles were tender. If you notice halfway through cooking there's not much liquid left in your pan, you could always add an additional cup of chicken broth in to help it cook. But now that my noodles are tender, I drained any of the excess broth, and now I added in 1/3 cup of basil pesto along with 5 tablespoons of cubed cream cheese and 1 cup of milk. I gave this a really good stir to melt down the cubed cream cheese, and once it is melted down, I'm adding in 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Give this one last good stir to melt the Parmesan cheese down, and then it's ready to serve. This has to be one of my all-time favorite pesto dishes ever. If you know me, you know I'm a huge pesto fan. I really liked how the pesto flavor was bold, but it also was kind of mild at the same time. It was definitely not overpowering. This meal is scrumptious. This one is a fun one. I really think you'll love this barbecue beef pasta dish. So to my Dutch oven, I'm adding 1 pound of ground beef. I'm going to cook this ground beef through and then remove any of the excess grease. Now that we have our beef cooked, I'm adding in 1 diced up white onion. I'm going to stir it around until it starts to soften. If you don't care for onion, you could add in a diced up bell pepper as a substitute. Now we're going to add in our 2 cups of frozen corn along with 1/2 cup of barbecue sauce. I used Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, but you could use any type of barbecue sauce you like or have on hand. And then I added 2.5 cups of beef broth along with 2 cups of elbow pasta noodles. I gave this a really good stir, and then I let it simmer on my stove for about 10 to 15 minutes covered. I did stir it very frequently though, just to ensure that nothing stuck to the bottom of the pan. And then here is what it looks like now that my pasta is tender. I'm adding in 2 cups of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. Give this a really good stir, and then it's ready to serve. I topped mine with plenty more shredded sharp cheddar cheese and then a little dash of salt and pepper. I really like this meal. I love how the barbecue flavor does shine through, and then it is definitely unique and kind of fun to make. My daughter loves it, so you know it's kid friendly. And then here's my cutie husband. I hope you enjoyed this today, and I would really love to have you here, so go ahead and subscribe down below the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.